Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Utilities and Mobile GIS. Go mobile the right way and fully realize the power of GIS. Today, we are working with TC Technology and Intel to bring you this webinar. My name is Sarah Granger. I'm the Alliance Partner Specialist here at Motion Computing. Just a couple quick housekeeping notes before we get started. First off, everyone's lines were muted upon entry, so if you do have any questions or concerns, feel free to use the chat feature, and we'll try to get you situated. Second, we will be saving all questions and answers to the end of the presentation, so again, if you have anything you'd like to ask any of the panelists, just use the chat or Q&A feature to the side. We'll keep track of all of those and make sure we get them answered. Today, we have from TC Technology, Ian Martin, the Director of Sales, from Motion Computing, Carol Rylander, the Director of Outbound Marketing, and from Intel, Richard Nockels, the Business Client Marketing Manager. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to Ian for the TC Technology portion of the presentation. Are you there, Ian?
Yes, I am now.
Great. Okay, thanks, Ian.
All right, great. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Today we're going to talk about how utilities can benefit from mobile GIS, and specifically how you can use a mobile GIS in connection with your enterprise GIS data to help improve the quality of your network model to support your ADMS rollout. So to do that today, we're going to talk about what is mobile GIS, just a quick general overview. We're going to talk about the hardware considerations that go into, deploying mobile GIS to your field force. We're going to talk about the software considerations that will affect ease of use, the ability to get access to current data, the ability to get that information back into your GIS seamlessly. And we'll wrap it all up in an ADMS data cleanup use case. Mobile GIS has taken on an expanded role in a lot of utilities over time. It started out as just being a mobile mapping system so that you could get data, put it in the hands of people, and allow them to see fixed assets out in the field, be able to perform traces, things like that. Over time, mobile GIS has been integrated into other utility operations. So you can bring things like your outage notifications. You can bring work management information out to the field. You can integrate that with your customer information so that you know which customers are out, what their demand is on the system. And GIS then becomes this spatial repository for this information. You can pull that information into your system, hold it in a central gateway repository, distribute that out to a variety of different clients in the field. The key to mobile GIS, or what it means to utilities, is it can be different at different companies, but in general, what we're talking about here is access to updated enterprise spatial data, access to critical infrastructure information, being able to know where switches are, where transformers are, where a circuit is fed from, things like that. And then building on top of that, the ability to perform system inspections so that you can maintain the health of that network, make sure that you're meeting all of your regulatory compliance needs, and that you're keeping the assets that are installed in the field in good working order. So the mobile GIS then gives you the ability to see where those assets are, and then you can perform inspections, forms-based data collection that is driven off of that spatial asset information that you've got in your GIS system. And then building on top of that, you can do things that allow you to increase the efficiency of the mobile workforce that's out there. So you can start talking about workflow automation. I've got particular maintenance duties that I need to attack, so I need to assign some work to a crew or to technicians, and they can go out and do that work. And then as an extension of that, then being able to manage the jobs that are going to build on top of the issues that are uncovered when you're out doing your O&M maintenance or identifying problems with the system that could mean fines from regulatory agencies. So how do you pick the right hardware for doing a deployment of mobile GIS at a utility organization? Well, there's a couple of different ways that you can look at things, and historically what folks have looked at is these big ruggedized laptop computers that can handle falls, that are, meet various mil specs, that can stop bullets, if you so to speak. So these things are cumbersome. They're heavy. They're typically very expensive, but they do meet or exceed IT system requirements. So they're running Windows and they're networked, and you can have VPNs on them, and you can protect the information that's on that device when it's out in the field. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got standard commercial tablets, things like Windows tablets or Android tablets or iPads. And those are affordable, and in a lot of cases they're very intuitive. People are using them every day to read books and look at maps on Google and find directions and things like that. But they're not really durable, so they don't pass the drop test. The screens can crack. The cases in a lot of instances aren't sealed, and in a lot of cases you're not going to be able to read what's on that map, and sometimes the form factor even plays into it, the size of the screen. And again, these devices don't always meet IT system requirements. So you can have someone that has an Android device, someone that has an iPad, but the enterprise system is running on top of Windows typically, and so there's a need to be able to interface with that enterprise system on the back end. So then we come to what's just right, and what we've found in our time doing the work, and one of the reasons that we've partnered up with Motion is that they've got this mid-range ruggedized tablet, and it comes with a variety of ways where you can dock the machine in your vehicle, but also you can take it out and hold it in your hand very easily, almost to the extent that you could one of those consumer grade tablets. So they're lightweight, they've got good battery life, they are rugged, and the screens are very easy to see. And so we've seen over the past couple of years a trend away from the big heavy laptops towards some of these more portable mid-range ruggedized tablets, and they do run Windows, and so you do have that, you do meet that IT system requirement. You can interface with enterprise systems. So software. What are the considerations that go into picking what software you want to put on that tablet that you're going to take out into the field? And I've got a list, and the idea is that you want something that's easy, that's intuitive. So if you've got a device that's a touch screen, that's a plus. You want to be able to give the user big buttons. You want them you want to minimize the amount of menus that they have to pick from. You want to give them information that is up to date. That's not only from the perspective of ensuring that they've got the best data available, but it's also a safety consideration in a lot of cases when you've got highly integrated systems that are working with OMS and ADMS and different smart grid technologies down the line. You want to make sure that the software has a seamless interface with your GIS. So you want to be able to take data out of that system and minimize the transformations that it has to go through in order to be useful to the end user. And when we talk about that, that's typically a back office operation, but the end users see that in the sense that when they're putting information into the system, they want to be able to see the results of what they've put in come back to them in a timely fashion. And the less amount of transformation that you have to do with that data, the better, because you get that data turnaround done quickly. The software's got to be fast, and it's got to perform in the sense that when the users are making a move to refresh a screen or zoom into an area, it's got to respond to it. And when you're talking about a machine that has, you know, the horsepower of a laptop, that's going to help. You've got the ability to put a lot of RAM on there. You're talking solid state drives. That speeds up the performance and the responsiveness of that system. You want the system to be configurable so that you can get up and running and do standard operations like map viewing and tracing and searching and things like that very quickly. But you also want the system to be customizable so that you can start talking about those interfaces with different systems on the back end, workflow automation, job management, those sorts of things. When you're talking about interfacing with the variety of different work management systems that you have out in any given utility, the ability to be able to customize that and work with any of them is important. You also want the information to work with, or the software to work with very large data sets. So the amount of information that is present in a GIS, you want to be able to turn that over in its entirety or very nearly in its entirety to the folks in the field, because that's where that useful information is contained. Versatility is key. You want to be able to use the software not just for viewing map data, but also for doing system inspections. And you don't just want to do system inspections, you do want to do work management. So you want to have something that by the virtue of its configurability and its ability to customize it, can serve your entire enterprise, not just a single group within your organization. Other related features that make sense for some utilities are the ability to get your turn-by-turn directions so that you can get from point A to point B, much like you would with GPS features on one of those consumer-grade laptops. You want to have the ability to take pictures. You want to be able to see where you are on the map using your GPS. When you have those onboard capabilities in your hardware, then you want to take advantage of those. Finally, when you're out there doing your work, you want to make sure that the software has the ability to take the information that's already available in the data sets that are locally there to help you with the data verification work that you're doing, so that you don't have a lot of redundant input. And in some cases, if you're talking about a system that always requires you to be connected to a server on the back end, then that can become very difficult. So the ability to have that information cached locally and take advantage of the data that's stored in those local data sets is important. So here's some screenshots, and I'll go through these fairly quickly just to kind of give you a feel for how you can use the technology. You can use it for tracking and managing your crews. And you can see there we've got work orders and jobs, and we've got trucks representing crews, and you can drop jobs onto those crews. You can assign and dispatch the work tabularly, so you can do mass assignments in this way. You can locate the work that you're doing out in the field, and you can see information about that job that you're going to be doing. You can review the details about the job. You can complete the job using just simple forms to help you move things along. Again, we're looking for intuitiveness, for ease of use, and then we want responsive and high performing software. And to that end, I'll talk about how TC Technology software, GhostInk Mapbook, has been used in an ADMS, in support of an ADMS rollout. The identified need at the utility was to clean up GIS data that had been input over time from a variety of different sources. Those could have been from the primary data conversion years ago, through a migration to another system, through the addition of work orders over time. There are bound to be gaps in the model that's stored in the GIS, and those sorts of gaps are okay typically, but when you start talking about feeding a network model into a distribution management system, you really have to focus on connectivity and phasing. And so using the configurable and customizable nature of the software, you can do things related to your data cleanup. And so the way that this particular customer structured their project is they divided the work into two phases. There's initially a crew that goes out with a hot stick attachment and identifies phasing along the wire. And when they come to a tap point or a roll point, they'll tack a stencil on the pole. And then they get out ahead of the group that's going to be coming behind with the map. And the map has all of the enterprise GIS data on it, and then it's got some customized tools that are going to allow the phase mappers to be able to quickly and accurately input information into that system. When they're out in the field, then they are looking at a couple of different key locations. They want to gather information about the phase configuration, so what phases are present on a three-phase line. What's the orientation? Is it horizontal? Is it vertical? Is it a triangular construction? And then identify where there are changes in that phasing as wires roll from one construction to another, where you have taps going off to feed an underground development, things like that. On top of that, because you're tracing out that phasing from the substation, you can, you can follow the phases and identify what phase a transformer is connected to, what phase a fuse is protecting. So you can, in doing that, then ensure that the protective devices and the transformers that are feeding the demand points are going to be on the proper phase. And then finally, you can use sketching tools to fill in the gaps, areas where there's missing information or where there's abnormal configuration. anything that doesn't, fit the round hole that you've got for doing the primary data capture. And then finally, once that information is collected and you've put all of those data points into that system, then you have to do some additional cleanup on the back end. You have to make sure that the information that you put down on a particular circuit line is propagated throughout the rest of that circuit. So if you've identified a tap point as B phase, and you've got a single phase line down to the service level, then you want to make sure that you propagate that change all the way through. So you're not actually visiting every single conductor, every single premise, but you're ensuring that where you have done the ground truthing, that you're pushing that information on down. And then finally, going back and researching work orders, as-builts, in order to fill in information that was potentially missed. And this is an iterative process, so that you go through a data mapping phase, you go through a QA phase, you go through a revisit phase to ensure that everything is collected properly, and that the information that you're putting back into that GIS system is accurate. And with that, I will pass it back to Sarah.
Great, thank you so much, Ian. That was so much great information. I am going to now turn it over to Carol Rylander to do the rest of the presentation. All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Ian talked about, the hardware considerations of a tablet and mobility become obvious when you're out in the field in full sunlight or weather conditions. But then the question gets, what does Motion do that's different from other tablet vendors? As a little bit of background, Motion's been in the business since 2001, making nothing but Windows Slate tablets. So we have many years of expertise in this area. And we have watched workflows all these years and enhance our portfolio to ensure that all of our products are made to go into the field in the conditions that are relevant for your workflows. If you look at the slide, let's move on to the next slide. I don't expect you to read this slide, but this is an example of the level of expertise we look at Motion. We look at the day in the life of an individual in certain scenarios, and here is a utility inspect, repair, maintain situation, and what are the features he needs to do the job effectively and the most productively. As you can see, look, we have integrated like the biometric reader, barcode reader, cameras, GPS. All these features are integrated into our tablets in a ruggedized environment. And of course, as Ian talked about too, you need the Microsoft productivity software that everybody uses just to do their day-to-day work, as well as other systems such as the TC technology application. These all work seamlessly in a Windows environment. Our systems are powerful enough to run the software efficiently. And as you look, too, you see that we have the vehicle mount. Of course, you're in and out of your vehicle all day long. You need a secure mount that's safe if you were to have a collision. You need a mount that's secured, that can be locked. We have all those features for any of the tablets that we make. And as far as the peripherals, we have a desktop dock, so when you're back at the office, you can dock it. We have carrying cases if you need to go walk to your lines for inspections. Of course, we're connected with 4G, LTE, wherever you are, you can be connected. We have a wide variety of keyboards and other interfaces if you should need it. So we definitely say we go beyond the tablet, and as you can see from these different usage scenarios, our tablets are used in very different situations. You may need all the features. You may need an RFID reader, the magstripe readers. We have the docking station in the picture to the bottom right-hand corner. We sell many different battery options. You can change the battery in the F5TE, and it's what's called hot swappable. So if you're out in the field and the battery goes low, you just swap it with another one, and you do not have to power down your applications. We also have full services to help you get up and running. We have training resources and deployment services with expertise from our staff who have been watching these workflows for years and can help you streamline your workflows to be the most efficient based on just our years of experience in watching these workflows. Next slide. One of our newest differentiators is our in-vehicle mounts that we're very proud of. We have a mount that's both in the dash or one you can mount on a pole on the passenger side. The in-vehicle mount that mounts to the dash is unique in that it can swivel, where the passenger, if you have a passenger, they can use it, or the driver. We have technology built in called Blank It that automatically turns the screen off as a safety measure if the vehicle's in motion. So we have installation services. We have expertise all in the field with our installers, servicers, who can make sure your vehicle is safe from collisions and that the installation is done properly. Of course, connectivity is a given. You see, we have a very efficient cable management protocol where all the cables go into the mount so they aren't all over your vehicle and you're tripping on it or disconnecting them. So you can charge your tablet while it's in the vehicle, and you don't have to, if you're out and about, you don't have to worry about the battery being depleted. Next slide. So our in-vehicle solution advantages, as you can see, the swivel dash mount that I spoke about. We have preferred installers across the United States. The blanket technology for safety. You can lock our tablets, and we have good secure docks that have been tested for crashes. Good. And here, I wanted to be sure and show you some examples of our different vehicle solutions and the cars that we are certified for fitting. We do some retrofitting. If you had an in-vehicle solution before, we can modify that to ensure that our tablets will fit in it in a new configuration. Excuse me. Also, here at the top left-hand is in a new Chevy Tahoe. That is our X5TE solution, I believe that Ian referred to. And below is our smallest product, our ultralight CL910, and its charger in a Dodge Charger. So as you can see, we have a variety of options and expertise to help you be the most productive in the field. And with that, I believe we turn over to Intel.
Okay, Rich, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you now.
Great. So thanks, guys. So I'm going to kind of go on an overview of, like, how does Intel play here? How does Intel matter with these great software and hardware solutions you're seeing from iMotion? So this year, in September, Intel launched a brand new microprocessors. We call it our 4th-gen core product line. So this was really the first time Intel took a shot and had a dedicated engineering design teams across the world focused on these extremely small, thin, and the rugged form factors, right? So you're able to get these motion solutions with the performance and yet the battery life and the weight that end users are looking for. So it's really the first time we've had the full resources behind that and really have a product from top to bottom that iMotion has incorporated into the products to give you, like I said, the form factor, lightness, and battery life as well. Okay, so let's take a look at, I want to kind of give you a little snapshot into what we're seeing at Intel from our user perspective and how this could pertain to the type of users you're seeing out in the field as well, particularly into the industries that you're dealing with. So we're dealing with users within Intel that are a little different than we've had before. So we have people coming into the workforce with a way different kind of viewpoint that previous generations have dealt with. One of these being dealing with the node generation. Mobile devices such as these from Motion. A lot of times in the past when IT has locked these people down or said no to these solutions, they're finding ways on how to get around them, right? So we're having to deal with that internally, and how do we get away from saying no, and how to give them the right solutions? How do we give them the right mobile solutions? How do we give them the right software freedom to do the types of things that they're used to coming out of college and then going into the workforce such that you're dealing with as well? So we have a lot of those people coming to work at Intel. We have a lot of different use case models. So in the past, we have gone to lock them down from a software perspective. Let's not get them mobile. So now we've moved into a more mobile environment, similar to what you're seeing in your industry with these motion devices. So we're having to find new ways in how they can work, be more efficient, be more productive on the go, rather than being strapped down to a very archaic desktop, as you will, or to a very older software or older portable solution from a laptop perspective. So we're moving in from an Intel perspective, we're moving into a very mobile world, looking at Windows 8 and 8.1 as we move more into touch. And then how are we going to actually make sure we manage and secure these devices? So that's really important as you all know, when the devices start leaving the network, as they're out in the field, how do we make sure we manage and secure these devices as they leave and make sure that the content in there is secure as well? So as I mentioned, we launched in September the 4th gen core processors. You can see there the U and Y series. They're in the wide variety of products you see out in the market. Motion has incorporated these as well. And also you'll see the Atom Z3000 series products as well. So those are more in a tablet format for a lower type of performance. And you'll see the 4th gen core i5, i7 products really meant for those type of mobile solutions that need a typical PC performance in them, okay? So these are the two big product lines that we've since launched and are hitting the market now in the products that Motion has coming out. So one of the things I want to go through, especially along the management and security front, is the Intel processors with vPro technology. So for those of you that aren't aware of what vPro is, it's basically Intel built into our chipsets, our wireless components, our NICs internal into the circuits, a way to manage and secure those laptops no matter if the PC's off or the OS is inoperable. So the big thing we were dealing with internally 10 years or so ago was when we got to a blue screen state, all these devices had to now be mailed into IT centers, or we had to send IT people out to the desks to repair these, okay? So now with vPro, you're actually able to manage these and get to a blue screen with the help of a management software package. You can do Microsoft SCCM and various other types of software applications to allow you to manage these devices. So it really can come true when we demo these and we showcase by, hey, this is now what you see at the user screen, a full blue screen. That's whenever all the light bulbs come on and say, hey, yeah, that's where our IT support costs go up. So especially out in the field, like yourself, how do you get to that device? It really puts a big impact on the ability to service customers, get your jobs done. So if you buy to the vPro brand, you're able to get to those devices at a blue screen level. So that's one kind of use case. You're also able to remotely patch these even if the PCs are off. So you can actually bring these PCs up even outside the network with call for help buttons and actually get to them, load the appropriate security software, reboot, shut down, and the PC's ready to go, or the laptop and mobile solutions ready to go as you move into the next day, okay? So that's that key to be able to get to those assets remotely. Also, some of the things that we've seen end users utilize this for is from an inventory perspective. So much of the assets, even within Intel, before we were able to use vPro, we weren't able to see these assets that were powered down or shut off. So now IT is required to go around with USB sticks and dig through labs and whatever other type of facilities we have to find those assets, spending a lot of time and money to get to those. Okay, so again, where you can use vPro remotely to get to those assets. So it's really got a wide variety of applications. If you buy to the vPro badge, you get all these inherent features built into the silicon to let you remotely manage and secure these appliances. So within the 4th Gen Core products as well, you're going to see built-in security features into the CPU itself. So such technologies as Intel TXT, which basically prevents rootkit attacks at the very lowest level below the OS. You have advanced encryption that are hardware built into the chip that allows you to run your encryption algorithms faster with higher performance as well. So it really comes into play when you're operating hard drive encryption software. So rather than do it from a strictly software perspective, you can use the built-in hardware and security engines to actually do that much faster. Okay. So kind of, what you get from all of this, with the vPro, you can manage and secure remotely, even outside your network. And with the Intel built-in security features, you make sure that you're booting up in a safe fashion. You're able to decrypt and encrypt drives faster. So really giving the performance that your users need while making sure you have the security and manageability that you need as well. Okay. So key message, buy to the vPro brand. You get all of that goodness built in. You can get to those assets. You can secure those assets. You've got a wide variety of products starting with the Atom to the 4th Gen Core. Okay. They have a good mix from performance down to the Atom, where you can use for the tablets that Motion has as well. So you get a good mix on the type of products that you can offer to your end user employees. Okay. So let's get to some of the other benefits that we've had with the 4th Gen Core products. So obviously, one of the things that we've seen is you'll see a lot of different form factors. So Motion comes out with a lot of different form factors as well. So that the new products allow you to get into the form factors you're looking at. So the performance perspective, you get a 3x longer battery life relative to like a 3 or 4 year old PC. It gets 2x faster, and the wake up to go is 8x faster as well. So a lot of people in a lot of IT shops now are really like, do we push out the refresh? Do we wait longer? Do we wait with the mobile solution we're using right now? And what are some of those impacts from a performance and battery life? So you see those there. It's quite impactful. And knowing, I've used a relatively new Ultrabook platform, and I see the performance from a wake-up perspective, from a battery life, and it really is impactful to the end user's performance and day-to-day jobs. So some of the other things that we're looking at is built into this generation of 4th Core products is actually a passwordless VPN. So have the hardware built in there, working with the Cisco AnyConnect software, so that users don't have to put in a unique password every single time for their VPN. So it's one of the things built into the 4th Gen Core. We see a bigger push as we move with our technologies going away from wires, more wireless, from the docking solutions to interfacing with building printers, room locations, and such. And then also you're going to see from self-encrypting solid-state drives. So rather than using software-based encryption, now you can actually rely on the hardware within the solid-state drives to actually encrypt, decrypt your drives altogether. Okay. So you see how we're kind of moving for smaller, thinner, lighter, longer battery life, longer performance. So it kind of gives you a feel from where are we going, or where we moved from to previous generations roughly 3 years ago to this vPro platform altogether. So I think that's pretty much the summary of what I have. So remember, buy to the vPro, you get all that goodness, security built in, performance that you need. iMotion has really taken those in, designed it into their product set we've identified here today. And so then really they're looking for questions, then open those up and see how we can help you guys from here.
Great, thank you so much. Such great information from all the panelists today. I have a couple questions already coming in. If you have anything that you'd like to ask anyone today, just use the Q&A or chat feature, and we'll make sure that they get answered. The first question is, does the software work in a full 100% disconnected state? They work in pipeline, and they generally encounter limited and no cell signals. Yeah. Ian, so that's probably for you.
Yes, it functions completely disconnected. We like to term it occasionally connected, so that when the device does sense a network, it will pull down any information that it needs or push up any work that's been completed. But it functions completely disconnected.
Great, easy answer. The next question that I have is, they just kind of want to know what the biggest difficulty you see when people are trying to go mobile. Ian, do you mind maybe talking to that again?
The biggest difficulty is probably not politically correct, but it's people. It's making sure that you have, that you involve folks in on the field side to ensure that they're bought into the process. It helps to have software that's easy to use. It helps to have devices that are responsive, and that's really the biggest challenge. The technology challenges, those are fairly easy to overcome. But if you've got active resistance to something that you're trying to do on an enterprise scale, then that can be a little bit difficult to overcome.
And Sarah, just to add on that from an Intel perspective, even though our products go in a wide variety of different form factors, right, is what we've found even internally when we've gone to larger amounts of mobility is to get our internal groups involved early on, rather than just do a push, here's what we're going to give, to get them involved early on with the line of business groups and saying, here's what we're thinking of doing or what we're planning to go to. If they feel involved, they're more apt to get on board and help through the hurdles, rather than if they receive it over the wall, they tend to push back feeling like they've been slighted. So by getting people involved in these different mobile solutions up front seem to help, especially with the line of business.
Great. No, thank you, Rich. I actually just had another question come in that I think is for you, Rich. Will the remote updating while powered off feature with the vPro Intel chips work with other patch/remote management software? They use Dell KACE.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Dell KACE. So it works. Actually, that's probably one of the most linked software packages that KACE has done a really good job, and they've even developed newer vPro extensions that they put in their software package. So Chase is closely aligned with the Intel vPro technology, so that is one of the better ones as well. So they have Landesk is another one. Altiris, which is owned by Symantec, is another one, and there's smaller software vendors that have taken on certain portions of the vPro. So it runs the whole gamut, and definitely KACE is probably one of the stronger links to our technology.
And we actually had a follow-up question to that. Can the devices be discovered when they are out in the field, i.e. via Verizon broadband?
Yeah, so they can. So with the broadband is where I might have to follow up on that one. So most of the time when, yeah.
Sorry, they said out in the field and powered off, so.
Oh, yeah. So typically what happens, so I'm going to go through a standard wireless configuration or Wi-Fi configuration. So what would happen is the hardware vendor would typically do here's a emergency switch or a control alt something that would actually tunnel in below the OS, go to a local server wherever that's at, and then link up with, do a command to IT to establish that kind of like below the OS tunnel. Where I'm going to need to follow up is how they can do that via say like a Verizon or a 4G or 3G connection. So that's one thing I don't know, so I can follow up with that one.
Okay, that's actually all the questions that I have. I'll give y'all one more minute if you have anything you'd like to ask. Otherwise, we'll give you the rest of your day back. All right. Well, thank you so much to Ian and Rich and Carol today for all the great information. We really appreciate your time. The presentation was recorded and will be up on the website. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me, sgranger@motioncomputing.com, and I'll make sure to get you situated. Thank you to everyone that attended, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.